AI consulting is an interesting area in the Middle East, especially with all the Vision 2030 in Saudi. There are regulations or there are directives coming out in the Middle East, in Dubai, where the government services need to be agentified 50% in 2 years. So it's evolving, and it is completely changed from what it looked like, say, about 5 years ago. So enterprises have moved away from the strategic aspects in terms of traditional consulting, where they only wanted some kind of strategy, some kind of proof of value that maybe AI might work. So things have moved ahead in terms of enterprise AI. In terms of gaps, from what I see on the ground, one is, obviously the data readiness aspect of it. More the context you provide to the models and to the whole agentic implementation, better is the outcome. So we do, at NTT, we also do something like an ROI calculator or some kind of a value assessment of these use cases. So we help the clients in the whole journey, from the whole strategy part to identifying the use case, prioritizing the use case and the implementation. The second gap that I see is in terms of infrastructure, especially in the Middle East. Procuring GPUs is kind of quite tough. I would say it's kind of evolving, with only certain companies having a lot of exposure to the GPUs. And so to speak, even the cloud adoption is an issue. Now, so that's where I think NTT adds a lot of value, because we are like a full stack player. So starting from the network cables to the infrastructure to the implementation, I think we are able to bridge that last mile. So that's one aspect that I see from what the client wants, like an end-to-end journey starting from the infrastructure to the implementation. Then I also see post-implementation, where the clients actually want the observability, monitoring of these agents, being able to analyze where these cost is getting spent, what is the tokenomics of these implementations, and then how is the adoption happening for all of these use cases that are getting implemented. Most of the enterprises you see, whether it be the banks, whether it be the oil and gas, a lot of silos, there are a lot of data silos, and then this whole, the data estate or the data repository has grown organically over the years. Each of these business divisions, each of these different areas, they use different types of data sources, whether it be, some might be using SAP, some might be using Oracle, some might be using Salesforce systems. So one is the unification of all of this different data into one single data lake or one single data repository, which can act, because most of these, in the AI era, so to speak, the consumption of this data is by the agents rather than the actual humans. So one is availability of data in a contextualized format at single place, being able to pull together all of these different data sources. And then the second thing is whether the data is rich enough in a format that can be provided to the agents. So those two key aspects. And then there is a lot of gap between what the data actually is and how the agents or even the humans actually understand the data. So being able to create an ontology around the data, being able to actually understand the relationships between the different entities involved in the data, I think that's the third aspect in terms of data readiness. One is being able to ascertain what is the adoption of the various use cases that we had prioritized, whether the business division or the chief business officers who have actually paid for a certain use case to be implemented, are they actually able to derive the requisite value for a certain use case? Is that actually impacting the core business area in terms of either reducing cost, improving efficiency, or getting additional revenue for a certain business division? Whether we are able to actually analyze this whole aspect of implementation. So that I would say is one of the things that is key. And then secondly, from a technology perspective, are we actually able to ascertain whether the agent or the LLM model has actually hallucinated, whether the agents are actually behaving exactly the way this has been designed? Um, that's the whole second aspect of it. I would say the observability and monitoring part of it. The third thing is whether we are able to continuously test, eval, as well as whether we are able to continuously detect, for example, a model drift or a hallucination before it happens, especially in production critical systems. I think these are the three key areas that would actually prove whether something that you have implemented in production is successful and is deriving the business value or not.